And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Gravity Max live stream. And it's episode 10, right? 10?
Yes, we are on episode 10.
Cool. This week we're live, so we'll check chat, I guess. But, I mean, obviously not right now because no one's on. So, we've got a fun episode today, and we have our guest, Camilla, from the chat, I guess. But, yeah. So, she has a YouTube channel, but it's like, I mean, there's like, it's missing music, from the chat in a few episodes. So, yeah. It's the channel that I didn't know who it was, and then I realized who it was because she texted me. So, yeah. Callbacks. Anyways, so I think
yep.
Today we're gonna.
Do you want to wait, or do you want to start off with?
Yeah, we're gonna start. This is for. This is so that we can have some. Here, wait. Oh shoot.
Are you sure we're live?
Yeah, wait. Let me check something. It's on private. That's the problem.
Oh.
I was looking for the video.
Yeah, sorry. Let me edit. Okay. Here we go.
In this interlude, I could keep reading.
Public. It is
the works of Edgar Allan Poe.
It is now public.
We need to explain that.
So
we need to explain that for the video because
Okay.
no one else knows what happened.
Now we're live.
Okay.
And I will explain it.
And we're live. Hello, everyone, and
hello,
welcome to the Gravity Max live stream. Please do not watch this back, or if you're gonna watch this back, start at a minute and 30 seconds or something.
So that we can have some.
Why is the chat playing? Wait, why is it playing? Who's got?
No, are you playing the video?
Mute it.
Yeah.
So mute that video. I made that same mistake on one of our earlier streams where I played the video and I didn't realize that it was playing from my tab, and I was like, guys, someone is playing the thing. I'm like, come on, guys. So, and I just like tabbed over, and I'm like, oh. But anywho's.
Anyways.
So,
yeah, we've got a fun episode.
Before we loaded this up, we were doing a little quick literature hour where we all just grabbed the closest book to us and we all started reading it. I grabbed like the meatiest book, or one of the meatiest books. Dune is actually meatier than this. But I grabbed the complete works of Edgar Allan Poe, and I opened up to the middle of the book and to this very interesting story titled The Man of the Crowd, which contains what I believe to be the longest, most confusing paragraph in history, which I read in a half Australian, half like guttural voice. So I'm gonna spare you viewers from that, but I do want to read this quick little plot summary that we found on The Man of the Crowd.
Cutting out a little, by the way.
Am I?
I don't hear it here, and I think that's what's important.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, that's what's important,
yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay, here is the plot summary.
Okay.
So, after an unnamed illness, the unnamed narrator sits in an unnamed coffee shop in London. He is fascinated by the crowd outside his window. He considers how isolated people think they are, despite, quote, the very denseness of the company around, end quote. He takes time to categorize the different types of people he sees, but as evening falls, the narrator focuses on a decrepit old man, some 65 or 70 years of age, whose face has a peculiar idiosyncrasy, and whose body was short in stature, very thin, and apparently very feeble. The narrator dashes out of the coffee shop to follow the man from afar. The man leads the narrator through bazaars and shops, buying nothing, and into a poorer part of the city, then back into the heart of mighty London. This chase lasts through the evening and into the next day. Finally, exhausted, the narrator stands in front of this guy, who still does not notice him, And the narrator concludes this man is, quote, the type and genius of deep crime, end quote, due to his inscrutability and inability to leave the crowds of London.
Wow.
So that was the plot summary. Now here's my summary.
Uh-huh.
This specky boy is sitting there in this unnamed coffee shop after an unnamed illness, and the man himself is unnamed.
Uh-huh.
And he's staring outside the window. He's judging people. He's throwing them all in categories. And then he sees this disgusting 65-year-old man, and he's like, I must find his secret.
Uh-huh.
So he runs out of this coffee shop to stalk this guy, and he stalks him for, like, through the evening and into the next day. And finally he stops in front of the guy. And the guy is still, like, doesn't even notice this dude that has been following him for, like, 12 hours. And there, panting, exhausted on the ground, the narrator concludes this man is a criminal mastermind.
Wow. That sounds like a great read. So.
Yeah, and it is a great way to kick off this live stream. Because much like that book, or much like that story, we are talking about natural disasters.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because it has so much to do with our topic at hand.
Yeah. Here, wait.
Both that book and what we're talking about are natural disasters.
Wait. Do you want me to read my thing from my book that I found?
Oh yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah.
So
that's how this started.
Okay, so I basically found this book, and I thought that it was funny that I had this book here because this is a random desk. Like I'm still in the process of moving, but it's been a while, so reasonably we should be getting our stuff together, but, it's slow and steady wins the race, right? So this desk is a little unorganized, and it has a few books on it. So I'm going to read a passage and just tell me what you think. Okay. Chapter 1, Dealing, a Week in the Life. I don't do it for the money. I've got enough, much more than I'll ever need. I do it to do it. Deals are my art form. Other people paint beautifully on a canvas or write wonderful poetry. I like making deals, preferably big deals. That's how I get my kicks. So that was a passage. That was the opening lines of Trump, the Art of the Deal. And
I do it.
I found it.
Should be a yearbook.
Yeah, I found it in this pile of 3 books. The other 2 were books by Barack Obama. So I guess just a few political books, like from political candidates. So. And, of course, it's just funny. Trump, the Art of the Deal. So.
I'm not at home right now, so I don't have any books near me.
Uh-huh.
But I did open my Kindle, and the first book that was open was, lo and behold, A Truly Dead Rock.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Let me
Here, let me go into the plugs. Here, wait. I can skip around or whatever. So we'll do this one first.
Oh.
A Truly Dead Rock. Read a passage, I guess. I don't know. I'm probably going to be cringing the whole time.
Let me pick a random point.
Okay.
I'm going to scroll. You tell me when to stop.
Stop!
Okay. Jesus Christ. I'll read the page, because I'm on my phone, so it's small anyway.
Okay.
Oh, no. Can I please read the passage that I'm actually on?
Okay, go.
Okay, this is the passage that I'm literally...
Hmm.
All right, here we go. Alora continued to stare me down with her artificially red eyes. Almost everyone puts an outward display on their contacts. Most people display a witty image and yes, it's pronounced. But Alora chose a solid ring of red to mask her irises. Thank you. I'm literally on that passage.
Wow.
That's incredible. That's just fate.
Thank you. Yeah. Nice gif.
That's how it's pronounced as well.
Yep. Graphic
It is.
image file. Anyway, so
Hello, everyone. You got a preview into the book.
yeah,
Buy the book.
Buy the book.
yeah. So it's
Should we
available
go
on
into
Amazon.
The second slide? Or
I went to the. We can skip around, but I went to the thing just because segues or whatever.
Yeah.
So okay. So A Truly Dead Rock you can buy on Amazon. It's a science fiction book that takes place on the moon in the year 2102. It follows a high school freshman named Hudson Passaic, and yeah, it's a pretty good book. I mean, I made it, so I don't. I guess I'm a little biased, but I personally think that my year of hard work was not horrible. Understandably, but I guess you can make your own opinions if you buy it. So.
Not planned, but it was a good segue into the book talk.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's great. I should put a link in the description. So let me. I'll be doing that. Okay, let's go back to the disclaimer. Do you want to read it this time, Sebastian, while I'm getting the...
Oh, yes, I would love to. This video is not intended for children under 13 years old. If you are under 13 years old, please do not watch this video, as the topics we discuss are meant for those with at least a high school level of education. If you are not at least 13, you will not understand the scientific topics discussed in this video. This, of course, is due to the FTC's new regulations, the COPPA stuff. We talked about it a lot in our last stream, which was unfortunately pre-recorded. But there's also some great videos out there. The Game Theory did a video on it. You can also read the actual terms of service of YouTube. I believe they updated them to include the COPPA stuff. But there's a lot of resources out there that you can go to. And if you want to learn more about why we have to have this disclaimer in, definitely go and watch those other videos.
Very well said. Yeah.
Thank you. I host a podcast.
Ah, you do?
Mm-hmm. You should check it out.
Uh-huh. Well, anyways, so follow Gravity Max on social media. The website, too. The website has the link to the book on it, so that's great. And that link is in the description. There's also links to the Gravity Max social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whichever you like. And then also follow Sebastian on social media.
Yes.
But that should really
I deleted
just say Instagram.
all of my posts to make space for one that deserves to be at the mantle of my Instagram.
It is a true Renaissance work of the modern times. It is the new... It's just amazing, this photo. It conveys so much
masterpiece.
Meaning.
It conveys more emotion than anything currently on display at the Museum of Modern History, the Museum of Modern Art, the Louvre, whatever that other museum is, France, anything.
I think that's the Louvre.
If a picture speaks 1,000 words, then this one speaks a million.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I think that's all the plugs. Yeah. Natural disasters. Now,
this video not intended for our children under 13 years old.
Yes. So I didn't have time to make a thing, so let's just assume they were wiped out by natural disasters.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the reason you don't see them is because they
died.
They did the smart thing, and they evacuated.
They evacuated.
That's going to be part of what we are talking about today.
No. I'm sorry. They died, okay? Yeah. Because if they evacuated...
They died. We died.
If they evacuated...
We didn't.
If they evacuated, then kids under 13 years old might watch it, okay? But if they died, then we know we're dealing with heavy stuff right here.
Oh, that's true.
So, yeah, the characters died. But they might be resurrected, okay? And by might, I mean definitely will be, because I'm not just going to get rid of the characters. Yeah.
If you die in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you actually just do not die at all.
Yeah. Exactly.
You always come back.
They'll reverse snap, Yeah. Everything will work out. So, natural disasters, I mean, that's pretty much, I'd say, 1/4 of news coverage. It's natural disasters, politics, which you could argue is another disaster. And yeah, exactly. Let's see. They'll throw in a happy story involving a dog every once in a while, and then sports. That's a lot of money. Yeah. So natural disasters. You've probably heard a lot about them. You can think of the California wildfires or hurricanes in the southeast. They're just all over, all these natural disasters. So we're going to talk about them. We're going to define what they are. We're going to talk about the geological and meteorological processes behind them, and we're going to talk about how we deal with them, how we might deal with them in the future, and how you can keep yourself safe. So,
yes.
Yeah. So let's get started. Tsunamis.
All right.
Let's go.
So here we have and yes, it's pronounced GIF of tsunami coming in to the city. This is from the terrible, terrible movie. What's it called? Geostorm?
Yeah.
Geostorm. Yeah, Geostorm. I highly do not recommend it.
No, I would recommend it. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
It's funny?
Yeah.
Okay. I would recommend it if you sit down with like your best mates and then you make fun of it.
Yeah.
Because that's like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
When you're just making fun of a bad
pastime.
movie.
Yeah,
with your friends.
It's funny. It's like generic stock sci-fi, you know. It's just
yeah.
It's just I think it's the premise is that the different governments of the world have satellites, and they use these satellites to affect the weather to undergo warfare against their fellow nations, which honestly sounds like an Alex Jones conspiracy theory, but but I mean, look at this GIF. In this world, it's happening in this movie. That actually happens, but yeah.
Okay. So let's get into what a tsunami is.
Yeah.
So a tsunami, as you can see here, is an incredibly large wave.
Mm-hmm.
They move from actually about 20 to 30 miles per hour, and they can have waves anywhere from 10 to 100 feet high.
So they're illegal in school zones, right?
Yes, they are. Very illegal in school zones. And also would not fit under be able to go on most highways.
Passes. Yeah.
Yeah, due to their height. Yeah, so tsunamis are often caused by earthquakes. I think that's actually always why they're caused. But when earthquakes occur, the shock wave can actually create this massive wave because a large amount of earthquakes occur underwater because like over 70% of Earth is water. Mm-hmm. So statistically, a lot of the earthquakes are going to happen in the ocean.
Yeah.
And that's basically what causes these massive waves to occur. Mm-hmm. So if you see a tsunami, and here's the safety spiel.
Oh, yeah.
When a tsunami shows up, or like before it shows up, and this is how you can tell a tsunami is coming, you either feel the earthquake before, and then if you're near a beach or any kind of ocean, any kind of bay, you just want to get out of there immediately because a tsunami could be coming. Mm-hmm. But if you're at the beach and the water recedes and doesn't come back, there's the usual flow of waves where it goes in and out and all that. If it just recedes really far in and does not come back, that is a telltale sign that a tsunami is coming and you gotta get out of there. So should a tsunami occur, you're going to want to run as quickly as you can in the opposite direction, as you can see in this GIF that the people are doing on the beach. Although many of them are probably going to die due to the size and speed of that wave.
I'd say you got.
But what you want to do is you want to get as high as possible. Yeah. And no, I don't mean recreationally. I mean you want to climb to the highest vantage point you can. Mm-hmm.
But make sure it's solid ground and not a building because water is actually very heavy. Each cubic meter of water weighs a metric ton. So anyone who's American, sorry, I'm not going to convert that for you. Because it's just so convenient in metric. So anyways, it's immensely heavy, and it's going at 30 miles an hour, and that just whams into a building, just knocks it down, destroys it. So you want to make sure that you're getting to a high point on ground. So a hill, a mountain, probably a hill because a mountain would be 8,000 meters high or more. And I'm not sure how fast you could summit that, but yeah.
So
don't choose a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the technologies that we have today for tsunami prevention is, well, we basically just trace it to its source, which is earthquakes, which we're going to talk about next. We just try and like detect earthquakes. If there's ever any earthquakes near like coastal regions, like specifically like anything on the coast of California or anything on the like east coast of America, meteorologists like try to like predict them, you know. But in the future, what we would do is basically just create like padding, know, like create a wall. Not to sound too political, but make
not
a
to
wall
call back to that wonderful book we read.
Yeah, make a wall and keep it as like a barrier for these like tsunamis. And it sounds stupid, but that's actually like the best way of preventing them.
Yeah, I mean that's what we do right now to a certain extent. If you think of the levees, I forgot what they're called, like seawalls in New Orleans, those are meant to keep the water out. Even though during Hurricane Katrina, there was enough storm surge that those defenses got overwhelmed. But even so, even if you block half the water with a seawall or a levee, then you've greatly reduced casualties because, you know, having 10 feet of water crashing through your town is a lot better than 20 feet, even though neither is ideal. So, yeah, it might give people an easier time getting to the high ground. So, yeah, but definitely in the future, there might be some ways to get padding and meshing in the middle of the ocean, because a tsunami is really just a shock wave, which is kind of crazy to think about. It's the same thing when there's an explosion and the air rips by really fast. That shock wave is the same as the shock wave here, except it's just a denser medium, water instead of air. So if we could dampen the shock wave, dampen the vibrations, then we could make the tsunami less intense or even just completely dissipate it, which would be optimal. So, yeah. It is a little... There is one concern, like, how would it affect sea life? You know, if you're just having padding nets or whatever in the middle of the ocean, it probably wouldn't go very well. So we'd have to find a way to do it without messing up the ocean, because you don't want to solve a problem by making another one worse, because that's just counterproductive. So, yeah. Oh, also...
Until then, make sure if you live near the water, make sure you have somewhere that you know you're going to go to.
Keep an escape plan in mind. Yeah. Another thing we could do in the future is not live near the water, which sounds a little disingenuous, but actually I'm pretty sure in Japan, every time there's a tsunami, in some towns they put a little marker down that says the tsunami got up to here, so don't build lower than here, and then people are like, okay, cool. So
it's useful.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at some interesting facts about tsunamis, and here are like some fun facts.
All right.
Okay. So, palm trees with strong trunks are planted on some shores as they are known to survive a tsunami.
Huh. Wow.
So that's interesting. How nature, because tsunamis are, like the name says, natural disasters. So the natural nature, if that makes any sense,
the
nature of Earth, is built to survive these natural disasters, such as palm trees, which is crazy to think. So maybe in the future we could all just become palm trees.
Yeah, I think that would be
very
successful.
If it's a palm tree, then maybe use a tree. I take it back. My comment from earlier about not using a tree.
Not using a tree.
Yeah.
You could use a palm tree, but not any other tree. So that's important to know. It's interesting, actually. The word tsunami is a Japanese word. It's the Japanese word for tsunami. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because England is not near a fault line. So why would the English language have a word for tsunami? So they just kind of...
Yeah, tsunami literally translates to harbor wave.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It's pretty fascinating.
I got another fact.
rumors, are we?
Here we go. The costliest tsunami occurred in the U.S. and in Canada in 1964. Probably hit like the border or something, and the damage was as huge as $106 million.
Huh. Which
so
is surprisingly
pretty costly.
Surprisingly, a lot less than most hurricanes, though. If you think about it, they're always talking about damages in the billions, right?
Hurricanes are a lot more destructive because they go across the mainland.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking about the mainland, so when the tsunami occurs, it can actually poison the mainland with a lot of salt because it carries all that salt from the ocean, causing crops to die, which makes people die out of hunger and starvation long after the tsunami is gone.
Yeah, so that's really interesting because
so that's all I got.
Yeah, because there's a ton of little things that can just mess you up. It's always the smallest thing that you didn't really consider that can end up being one of the worst impacts of something. I'm not saying this necessarily because it's a giant wall of water coming at you, so that's probably the worst of the impacts, but there can be like seemingly minor things, minor details can blow up and balloon up and just have devastating consequences. So
okay,
everything has consequences.
Yeah.
So let's head on to the next slide, which we kind of already talked about.
Yes, earthquakes.
Which is,
and we have
another yes, it's pronounced GIF of an earthquake.
Yes, and so I got to talk about this GIF.
Yeah,
so
you gotta.
I did some investigative journalism here. So this dog, right? First of all, dogs can detect when an earthquake is coming. That's why he freaks out before everything starts shaking. Or actually, she, because I did some research. So dogs, they can feel the vibrations in the ground before people can, and so they'll freak out. So if you see a dog start to freak out, like this guy, he gets the idea. He starts running, right? Right when he sees the dog start freaking out, he's like, oh no, something bad is about to happen. So this dog was fine after the earthquake. This dog was 3 years old when the earthquake happened, and it happened 9 years ago in 2010. So I don't know. I hope the dog is currently alive and well, but I don't know, because 9 years ago is quite a while ago, and this dog was 3 years old, so it would be 12 today. So it's uncertain. But the important part is that the dog was not harmed by the earthquake. She was just a little shaken up.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mike, hit it! Hit it, Mike!
Hit it, Mike!
Oh, wait. He's
not here.
I miss him every day.
Anyways.
Rip Michael. Died in tsunami.
Oh, no. So, earthquakes. They are when the ground shakes. I think everyone kind of knows what that is. Sorry, I was just thinking of the criteria for each slide, and the first part was what it is, and I'm kind of thinking that that's redundant for a lot of these, but so let's move on to the geological processes. So
it's earthquakes when the ground does.
Yeah, so the Earth has tectonic plates, okay? And these are basically chunks of the Earth's crust that are floating about on top of the Earth's mantle, which is composed of liquid magma. And so as they're moving around, sometimes two plates that are touching each other will move in opposite directions against each other, which is not good. They'll sort of slide past each other. And the problem is, you're sliding two giant rocks past each other. You're sliding thousands of miles of rock past itself. And that's a lot of friction. So the Earth will not just, easily move past. What happens is, since these fault lines are also very jagged, the Earth will get caught on one of these jagged edges, and pressure will build up until the edge snaps. And the Earth moves like an inch. And then this happens. Everything just starts shaking because while it's not that much motion, it's just everything moved 1 inch, but since it's on this scale, it's, catastrophic.
Yeah. My mom and my mom and my dad, they both used to live in California, which is unfortunately where I was born. And
Okay.
my mom experienced a decently bad earthquake. I believe it was like a 4 or 5 on the Richter scale.
Wow.
And let me explain what that is.
Yeah.
The Richter scale is what you measure earthquakes in, and it's also a logarithmic scale. So it's exponential. So a 4 versus a 5 isn't just like 1 worse. It's like 10 worse, I believe. Or 10 times the magnitude.
Yeah.
So she was in a building at the time. She described it as she thought she got like pushed from like behind.
Yeah.
And that like everything was like rattling and like stuff like that. But she also said that like 2s and like 3s occurred like all the time when she was in California. So people are pretty used to it.
Yeah, there are...
Because there's a fault line there, right?
Yes, there's a fault line right on California.
Yeah, the San Andreas fault.
The San Andreas fault
Wasn't
line.
there an apocalyptic movie just titled San Andreas? That's what it was referencing.
Yes, there is.
Tiny earthquakes are just constantly happening. The ground is not as steady as we like to think it is, and earthquakes can be harsh reminders of that. So, let's see. So, what do we currently do to deal with earthquakes, right? So, the first thing we do is, in areas that are prone to a lot of earthquakes, we build stronger buildings. So, in California, the buildings are supposed to be built stronger. I think, aren't there requirements? I think there are legal requirements, actually, in California, or at least in some of the cities, that you have to build a building
there are.
that is able to handle this high level of earthquake. That's
also with the bridges. I don't know if you've seen the famous video, I'm not sure if it was the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't think it was, but it was some bridge in California. An earthquake occurred, and like this bridge is like flipping out. It is going all over. Like this bridge is literally like, I don't want to keep using the same joke, but it was doing the worm. I swear. Like this thing was jiggling.
Yeah.
And ever since that, they built everything to withstand.
The Oakland Bay Bridge.
What'd you say?
Oakland Bay Bridge.
It might have been. I know Oakland's kind of whacked. So maybe their bridges are too.
Hold on, I'm trying
Not to disrespect Oakland or anything. I've been there.
Yeah, this is interesting. The way that regional natural disasters can result in policy changes. Like, you wouldn't see building codes requiring earthquake resistance in like Maine, or any other eastern state, because there's just no precedent, because there's no earthquakes there. So that's one thing we do. We build strong buildings. So let's see. How should you stay safe in an earthquake? Do you guys know? Okay. Well, I was just wondering if you had any...
well, you would, from what I learned in school, you just gotta hide under a desk and everything will be okay.
Yep, that is also how you...
But realistically, if you're in a building or if you're in your house, what you want to do is you want to move into the room where there's the least amount of glass. Like you want to get out of your kitchen. Your kitchen is the worst place to be during an earthquake. You're gonna want to run to like your basement or wherever. Your elevation doesn't really matter, but what matters is what's in your room and what can fall on you. Yeah. If you can get under your stationary desk, if you can like even get under your bed, any of that, that's the safest place to be.
So how about, would it be better to go outside if you can, to get outside, or if you are outside?
No, actually not. If you're in a city, definitely not.
Oh, okay.
But if you're living in like rural or like suburbia, then I would say, yeah, actually maybe.
Yeah.
But if you're in a city, definitely do not go outside.
Because doesn't it cause like the ground will start
from
ripping
the other buildings can just fall right on you.
Yeah. Also,
like
I think
garden pots.
with all the subway systems and stuff underneath the city, the ground is especially weak and cannot handle earthquakes as well. Because I've seen pictures of earthquake aftermaths where just like one piece of ground is 10 feet above another and it's just like horrible. But I'd imagine, if you're in a suburb or a rural area, it might be good to just, assuming there's no cars driving, because who would keep driving while an earthquake is going on? It might be best to like get into the middle of the street away from the houses.
Nobody but Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. New movie. Earthquake tsunami.
Oh yeah, earthquake. Dwayne "The Rock."
The ground is like broken up. Maybe there's like sinkholes, which we're also going to talk about. Subtle, not subtle segue.
Yeah. So, well, let's see.
So, with future, let's talk about future technology.
Yeah, future technology.
So, like we alluded to, it's just building buildings to be better buildings. To withstand the shaky shakes of the earthy quakes so that everything doesn't break.
Huh. Nice.
It's honestly just finding more durable material that will withstand the earthquakes. Like in California, like we said, everything's built to a certain code. It's just perfecting that code, making sure that any place in risk of earthquakes like has that. Like I know there was a pretty bad earthquake in, I want to say either Brazil or Chile a little bit ago, but that was like devastating, mostly because they weren't expecting it. That was like one of the biggest things. So if we just build like major cities up to the code of places such as San Francisco and Oakland, well, not Oakland, because it's not really built to any code.
Okay.
But of San Francisco or L.A., terrible of a city as it might be, we can always be prepared for these to happen.
Yeah.
Because Brazil or Chile wasn't, and I can't remember which one. Look it up.
Just South America, But that's definitely true. Durable materials, but there's also building techniques and some architecture techniques that can be used to improve a building's chances of making through an earthquake. And some of these actually involve spring systems. And
oh my God!
What?
Sorry to interrupt whatever you were saying, but I looked up Brazil earthquake and Chile earthquake, and there was actually a magnitude 6 earthquake that happened 4 days ago.
Wow.
Jesus.
So, yeah.
Was it
and,
like...
it's especially bad. Actually, I want to find that. Hold on. That it's giving me a map of where that earthquake happened, and that's right on the coast.
Oh, wow.
So I want to see if that earthquake caused a tsunami, because that is right on the coast.
Yeah. Well, while you're doing that, I'll continue. So an earthquake, just like tsunamis, it's another shock wave. So you want to use methods of dissipating the shock wave. You can have padding, stuff like that. There are springs. Some buildings are built with they're crazy techniques that make the building flexible, and I use air quotes on that because how flexible can a building be? But it's actually better to have a building that can wobble a little bit as opposed to being like sturdy, straight, like the posture of a prim prep student, just it's better to have a building that can wobble and sway a little bit without breaking. And there are some building techniques where you can include the structural supports in diagonal lines and things and different ways to make it so that your building can like rock around which
Slinky glued to the ground.
Yeah, it would be jarring.
Back.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
It would be jarring for a person in the building, but it would actually improve things because the building wouldn't fall, which is better than getting jostled around a bit.
Yeah. So reporting back, that specific earthquake did not cause a tsunami.
Okay.
But there was a tsunami that was caused by a magnitude. Yeah, like, come on.
Also, should we unpack that?
Wondering, that earthquake caused no damage and no injury, even though it was right on the coast.
I guess that'll be another aw. No, that's good.
Aw.
That's good.
The Chilean people didn't die horribly.
Because it would have been perfect for the stream if it caused a tsunami. Because it would have been a good example.
Yes, as long as it's perfect for the stream, all South Americans die.
Let's just do a stream about an apocalyptic situation, and then it'll occur, and it'll be perfect for the stream. No.
Anything for the stream.
No, it's good. It's good that there were no damages. Obviously. Obviously,
Jeez.
It's good that there were no damages.
Holy God.
Or minimal damages.
I'm honestly feeling so attacked.
You're feeling attacked right now. What about Chile? They just got hit by an earthquake.
I need to make like a formal apology. What do you want?
No, it's fine.
Yes, in Spanish.
Lo siento para...
You speak Italian, that's close enough.
Lo siento para los... I don't know the word for commentaries. Anyways.
Anyways.
Yeah.
The word for words.
There was
just to be clear, we are glad that there was
that hit Chile in 2010, which caused a tsunami, which caused over 500 deaths.
Wow.
So I'm sure that's like your birthday for you, Camilla. So there you go.
Okay.
So much.
I'll throw you a party after the stream.
Oh my gosh.
Yay! Hundreds dead in Chile.
Okay. Don't worry.
But anyways, that's earthquakes. Let's head over to landslides and sinkholes.
All right.
So, may I?
Yes.
Do my quick little demonstration?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Landslides is when the land goes, right? It does a little, and it goes and it slides, right?
Uh-huh.
It's when the land just does the stanky leg and just goes, right?
Yeah.
It just goes all the way down, as you can see in this picture.
Mm-hmm.
But sinkholes are my favorite. You know what you're standing/sitting on right now?
What?
Well, whatever you're on right now, whatever that's on ground, baby boy. And that ground can suddenly go, yup. And that's what a sinkhole is.
Yep. I think that was a wonderful demonstration.
The ground just straight up goes, yup. And it's gone.
Yeah, so this is...
Okay.
So the problem here is when the ground, it's kind of long-term erosion. And,
it's when the ground does what?
Well, it's when erosion occurs, but you don't...
I think it's when the ground goes pure.
Well, okay, there's that, but there's degradation of the land. Yeah. Well...
Wind and water erosion messes up the land, and it causes landslides because the land underneath kind of gives way, and then everything gives way, like on cliffs and things that are high up and suddenly drop.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's
yeah, it's like
sinkholes are
fun. Yeah, it's like if some soil gets saturated with water or something like that, then it can turn to silt, or it can turn into a more muddy substance that isn't as sturdy, and that can fall away. And as you said, there's a cascade effect. So if a piece of land falls away, then what's on top of that falls away too. It's like when in Minecraft you mine out the bottom block of gravel and it goes down.
Yep.
I think that's the best demonstration.
There's three types of sinkholes. There's solution sinkholes, cover collapse sinkholes, and cover subsidence sinkholes. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Respectively, they go Yorp, Morp, and Yorp.
Okay.
I like how you forgot to breathe out while speaking for the and.
Yeah.
And you were in inhaling talking mode.
I was in inhaling talking mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also eating an empanada.
Nice.
Congratulations. Solution sinkholes.
It tastes like hundreds dead in Chile.
Oh my god. No.
I'm never gonna live that down.
No. Well, you said Okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Anyway.
Well, anyways, so what's a solution? Yeah, what's a solution?
Layer of soil on top of the bedrock, which exposes it mostly to water erosion, and they either form really slowly or over time, and it's kind of like a depression in the soil.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's cover collapse ones, which are the ones that go back in wood.
Okay. Yeah, so that's interesting. Another.
Sorry for my slurp. I've been trying to mute myself.
One of the ways that landslides occur is if you don't have enough trees in an area, then there won't be roots in the ground, and plant roots are actually very responsible for keeping the ground steady and preventing erosion. When a plot of land is left without any plants, then the wind carries away the dust and it erodes. And similar things can happen here when there's unstable land. It's often because there just aren't enough roots holding it in place. So, yeah. So,
should I explain the other kinds of sin? Just leave it.
What?
Want me to explain them?
Oh, yeah, sure. Explain the other kinds of sinkholes.
Okay. There's two more. It's not that much. It's just cover collapse are the ones that go really fast because they're covered in a really thick layer of soil, and then the bedrock erodes, and then the cracks form weak spots, and suddenly everything underneath the giant, heavy amount of soil can't hold it up anymore, so it just falls really fast. And then cover subsidence ones happen over a really long.
Yeah. Did you cut out? I think. Hello? I think you cut out.
Right there.
Oh geez. Oh no. What happened? Here.
Oh geez.
Yeah, everyone left for like I've got to say 10 seconds. Okay.
What happened? I didn't see anything happen on my end.
I don't know. I don't know because I'm on the slide, so I can't see what happened. Is everyone back though?
I never left.
Okay. Anyways.
Neither did I.
Okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Yeah.
The Discord just had a landslide.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, sinkholes can occur quickly or slowly, and quickly it makes me think of, just someone being purped down to hell, just like, in TV shows or movies or whatever, when just a opening forms in the earth and someone just gets sucked down. Like, that's probably inspired by the cover collapse sinkholes. And then the slower ones, they can also be pretty damaging, because what do you do if a slow sinkhole starts sinking under your house, and now your house is just getting completely wrecked, and there's nothing you can do about it? You just got to slowly watch over weeks as your entire house gets destroyed. Like, sure, you can save the possessions, but I mean, how do you just watch something like that? Right? And you better hope you have insurance, because you can't say, hey, I'd like to take out a house insurance policy just as it's happening. They'll be like, yeah, no. So make sure you're covered for sinkholes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah. But,
sinkholes are how you no-clip to the back rooms, if any of you were wondering.
Yeah, that's one method.
How you get there.
That's one method.
Yeah. You could also backwards long jump on the stairs.
Huh.
In Paper Mario.
Okay.
It's another one.
Why would one want to go to Why would one want to go to the back rooms, first of all? And second of all, how do you get back?
Well, you can perform, maybe it's to perform a rescue mission.
But how do you get back, though?
The escape key.
There's an escape key?
Yeah.
Where?
What's the escape key?
It's on your keyboard.
Oh. Okay. So you gotta bring a computer with you. Anyways, so what are some signs of sinkholes? One sign that a sinkhole is forming under your house is if you notice cracks in the foundation or trees that instead of standing straight up, they're like crooked. If you notice those signs, just general signs of decay and structural collapse, you got to get out of there because it could be a quick sinkhole because, sometimes there's a little bit of slow sinking for a few inches and then purp down for like many feet and you want to get out of there.
That was a solid purp. I'll give it to you, Max.
Thank you. So, yeah, but if it's a slow one, that's also pretty bad, as I mentioned, because your stuff is slowly getting destroyed, which is not fun. Mm-hmm. So, safety. How would one be safe? Keep an emergency parachute with you everywhere you go. No. Keep an emergency shovel.
If the ground doesn't stay away.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't know, actually, to be safe in this, pretty much you need to get rescue teams. If there's a landslide or a sinkhole, people got to come out and, like, first responders and try to save you, which...
Don't stand too close to the bottom or tops of cliffs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Especially if it rained recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to avoid a landslide, definitely. Yeah, so in the future...
Slide to the left.
How?
Sorry, that's inappropriate.
Kind of like an awe.
Yeah, that's kind of along the lines of aw.
Sorry.
Hundreds of people didn't die.
I'll stop bringing it up.
Pobrecito. Anyways.
Oh my god. Anyways, so
are we heading over to the next one?
Wait. How might we deal with this in the future? One way is that we might plant more plants to keep things steady. Also, many buildings, especially when they build a skyscraper in a city, the first step is to pretty much just bore giant poles into the ground that go down many dozens of feet to get a more sturdy basis for the building instead of just, the soil. And some houses do that too, except they don't go as many feet down because it's not as heavy of a structure. But yeah, those are some things you can do to try and prevent these catastrophes from occurring.
I'll not prevent them from occurring,
well,
but
yeah.
more like...
Well, no, that kind of prevents them.
Like, also to, minimize damage.
That's true. But, the trees, the plants definitely helps it from, stops it from occurring.
That
but the poles...
That does.
The poles in the ground, yeah, the ground might slip away, but the poles might still be there. So that's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
It's also just not even in anticipation of one of these events. It's just, say you're building on limestone or something like that, because the entire ground...
bedrock.
Yeah, you gotta...
easily.
Yeah, you gotta bore down a little bit because, the next time it rains, your house will just be buried 10 feet underground.
Yeah.
As will you.
I will definitely not bless the rains down in Africa if that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, if your house just, sinks, honestly, one of the best things to do would be to just install a door in your attic, right? And then just turn the rest of your house into a basement.
Yeah. So we could just basically flex seal the land together so that it doesn't slide even when it's underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We are not sponsored by Flex Tape, though. If you want,
we wish.
No.
We wish.
Please, Phil.
Phil.
But no.
I saw a Phil Swift holidays commercial for Flex Seal and Flex Tape, and I was like, yes, I want this for Christmas.
I've seen every Flex Tape. I've seen every products commercial, and that's not even a lie. I've literally watched every single commercial that man has made. Yeah. Phil Swift. Every time I blink, I can see a burned image of Phil Swift just in my corneas. He's just staring there with this expression that he knows that he is the sole person that is keeping my life together using Flex Tape.
Yeah, it's really funny actually. In the commercial, since every commercial he does, he makes a horrible abomination of a vehicle. He was kind of joking on that, and he was riding in a Santa sleigh. You know, he had reindeer or whatever. He was just riding in his sleigh. Make sure to buy Flex Seal for the holidays, because who doesn't want to spend their Christmas unwrapping construction equipment?
Yeah. You know, my 14th birthday, the only gift I actually received on my birthday was a can of Flex Seal.
Dang. I think that's the best birthday.
That was from my buddy Dirk, who's at Yale.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, anything else about landslides and sinkholes, or should we move on?
We can move on.
Cool. Volcanic
All right. Volcanic eruptions. So, volcanoes.
Yeah.
You've seen them. You've heard about them.
Okay.
They are basically, they are defined as a rupture in the crust of a planetary mass object, such as Earth, that allows hot lava, volcanic ash, and gases to escape from a magma chamber below the surface. I actually like how it put in that it could be any planet, because the biggest volcano that we've ever found is actually on Mars.
Yeah.
And that's called Olympus Mons.
Yeah, and you can also have cryovolcanoes, which is basically on a planet or a moon that's cold enough, the lava is water. It's molten ice, which is funny to think about. That's a fun one to whip out at a party. Instead of saying, hey, can you get me a drink of water, say, can you get me a drink of molten ice? And everyone will look at you like, what?
Everyone will politely ask you to leave the party.
They'll say, go back to Europa or Titan or whichever moon of, Jovian moon you came from, because...
Jovian moon.
So, then you can, you can take a sip of liquid methane as you drive home, sadly. So, so volcanic eruptions. On Earth, volcanoes...
So,
on Earth, volcanoes emit molten rock, which might sound just as weird as molten ice does to someone who lives on Venus. They'll just be like, molten rock, what are you talking about? It's always liquid, which is just funny to think. Perspective. Relativity. Yeah. Everything is relative.
Similar to how there's the Richter scale for earthquakes, the size of a volcanic eruption is measured using, and I love this name, the Volcanic Explosivity Index, or the VEI.
Nice.
And the VEI ranks volcanic explosions from a scale of 1 to 8, with 1 being a gentle outpouring of lava, which is how it's actually phrased.
Don't you just love a gentle outpouring of lava? You wake up in the morning.
Just to soothe the sense, to de-stress.
You've got some gentle, classical music playing, and a gentle outpour of lava.
Outpouring of lava.
What a nice way to start.
And I love the 8 description even more. Here's the entire sentence.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gents, here's the sentence. The VEI ranks volcanic explosions from 1 to 8, with 1 being a gentle outpouring of lava and 8 being a mega colossal explosion.
Mega colossal.
A mega colossal explosion.
Every word in that each of those 3 parts, mega, colossal, and explosion, each of them is intense. Mega means a million times. Colossal already means huge, so it's a million times huge. And then explosion is an explosion. There's no gentle explosion. So, yeah. Oh my gosh.
So the reason that volcanoes do the boom boom, or the mega colossal boom boom, is because of buildup of molten rock, or as it's known, magma, and carbon dioxide. Volcanoes, or active volcanoes, I should say, are always emitting a certain level of carbon dioxide, and when paired with molten rock, it can build up and eventually gets to the point where it explodes. So I have a list here of the world's 10 most devastating volcanic eruptions through history.
Okay. What are the top 3?
Yeah, the top. Here, let's just see. Because they're not organized in any kind of order, but I'll just pick out my favorites.
All right.
So, of course, we have Mount Vesuvius.
Pompeii.
In Italy. Yep. Specifically the one in 79 AD. I remember that year. It was a good year. Actually, it wasn't, because Mount Vesuvius erupted, killing 16,000 people and completely burying the nearby cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum.
No one ever thinks of Herculaneum. They're always thinking of Pompeii. Yeah. Everyone always asks, how is Pompeii, but they never ask, how is Herculaneum? Sad boy
and
hours.
Actually, it took until 1595. So from 79 AD to 1595 AD for the cities to be excavated and rediscovered. And if the if the same eruption occurred today, it would the cost of it would be in the billions due to its location in Italy.
Yeah.
So if you were wondering, that explosion that killed Pompeii and Herculaneum was on the VEI scale, it ranked a 5. It didn't even get 8.
That is horrifying.
Wow.
I was thinking you were going to say something like 7 or 6. I didn't think it would be a full 8, but I thought it would be close, but dang. 5.
Yeah, the biggest one I see on this list is a 7. And that occurred so we've never hit an 8.
Is the 7, which one is that? Is that the one in Indonesia?
It is actually.
Okay, this one caused a famine, a worldwide famine. So, 8.
Why are we expecting worse volcanic eruptions?
We must always prepare.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
terrifying.
This volcano in Indonesia, it was crazy. There was like a ship, I think this was late 1800s, I believe. What does it say the date? Early 1900s?
It was 1815.
1815, so early 1800s.
April 10th, 1815.
So 1815, right?
Yes,
there was a
1815.
Ship. The nearest ship was like 50 miles away, and everyone was like, Jesus, this crazy, like, boom. Like, a ton of people were like, oh my gosh. Like, you know, when your ears start ringing after an explosion? Or what I mean is, in a TV show, when they play that annoying ringing sound after an explosion, you know that's what was going on. And the following winter, so 1885 into 1886, was just a horrible winter because all of the food was just dead. Over the summer and the fall, there were no harvests. I mean, not no harvests, but the volcano threw volcanic ash into the air, and that encircled the globe to the point that the earth did not get hot enough for the crops to do very well. So a ton of crops failed and did horribly, and then there was famine, which is very destructive, and it makes me fear an 8. It also makes me think of Yellowstone National Park.
Yes, which could be an 8. So thanks to the specific name of the mountain, Mount Tambora in Indonesia. It is the deadliest eruption in recent human history, claiming the lives of up to 120,000 people.
Dang. Wow.
It sent ash 40 kilometers into the sky.
Wow.
And for American viewers, that is 24 miles into the sky.
Wow.
Yeah, 24 miles. Wow.
Yes, I definitely did that for the American, because I know what a kilometer is. Definitely. So it was the most powerful eruption within 500 years, and thanks to the enormous amount of sulfur dioxide emitted, the world experienced a severe temperature drop that led to global crop failures, which is what you were talking about.
Yeah, that's
earlier. Thousands starved to death in China, while typhus, which is a disease, spread across Europe. I love this. After all of this, I kid you not, this is the last sentence in the description. So after talking about 120,000 people dead, ash 40 kilometers into the sky, global temperature drop, thousands starving to death in China, typhus spreading across Europe, the final sentence they chose to include is, in the 2 years after the price of grain in Switzerland more than quadrupled.
Yeah, so that's how bad the crops...
I kid you not.
Yeah, that's how poorly the crops did. That's crazy. Yeah, these things, volcanoes are dangerous. And they can occur in two places, volcanoes. They can occur near a fault line, or they can occur pretty much just in the middle of nowhere. It's always a fault line or the middle of nowhere. Because volcanoes...
Underwater, too.
Yeah, because fault lines are weak points in the Earth's crust because, there's a huge crack going down to the mantle, so magma can spurt up through those cracks in the Earth. But there are also places in the middle of a tectonic plate where the magma is just so hot, like so much hotter than the surrounding magma, which is already hot, that it just breaks through the Earth's crust, no regard for fault lines, and it just is like, I'm here, and that is why Hawaii exists.
Yes.
So.
Oh, and to answer your question, Camilla, I was looking to see, we have hit an 8 before, just not in recent human history. The most recent super eruption occurred in New Zealand out of the Taupo volcano. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but the Taupo volcano had a volcanic explosivity index of 8. It is one of the largest eruptions in the history of New Zealand and of the world. It occurred 26,500 years ago.
Wow.
And generated 430 cubic kilometers of pyroclastic fall deposits, which is like the uniform deposit of material which has been ejected from a volcanic eruption.
So does this kind of stuff show up in like the ice cores or rock layers?
Yeah, there's been evidence of other 8s just through other things. And I think I actually saw something about Yellowstone. I want to see.
Yeah, I think Yellowstone actually had erupted at one point in the past. It's very scary. It's interesting.
Yeah.
You can, in Antarctica, what the scientists do there is they'll take a huge cylinder out of the ice because in Antarctica, snow falls, but it doesn't tend to melt because it's Antarctica. So what you can do is you can go through the layers and see year by year how the Earth was doing. And you can see spikes in CO2 or drops in temperature. And the volcanoes are evidenced in there, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so the Yellowstone Dera, which is the name of the supervolcano under Yellowstone, is also known as the Yellowstone supervolcano. And scientists have done studies and have found that should an eruption occur, the eruption could hit levels such as an 8 on the VEI.
Not good.
So the Yellowstone one is capable of an 8.
Yeah, and this is really bad because the other explosions, they occurred in New Zealand, Indonesia, places in the southern hemisphere where there isn't that, like, comparatively, there's not as much land. I think it's something like just 10% of the Earth's land exists in the... 10% of the Earth's population lives in the southern hemisphere and 90% lives in the northern hemisphere. So the destruction there is a bit more limited. Also, these events occurred in the past when the population was lower. But if you could think of a volcano on that level occurring in the middle of the United States in like modern times or in the near future, that would be catastrophic. There would be a global recession unprecedented, never seen before. There would be famines everywhere. Yeah, it would not be good. I mean, we'd bounce back eventually, but that's a big eventually, you know? So, how do we deal with volcanic eruptions today? One thing we do is we try not to live near volcanoes. Which, I mean, this is a bit of a cop-out answer sometimes, but...
Rip to Pompeii, but I'm different.
Yeah, it's like some events you can't... Like hurricanes, which we'll talk about later, that affects the entire United States East Coast and many other areas. So you can't just have no one live there because they can get thousands of miles, or not thousands, but like they can get, I'd say, around 1,000 miles inland at worst. So you can't just evacuate that whole area. But sometimes it's just the smart thing to do to not place a town at the bottom of a volcano's summit. So we tend to stray away from that. But there was recently in Hawaii, there was a volcano that was actually destroying things. But I'm not sure. I don't think there were any casualties because I think the lava was moving very slowly and there wasn't like too much ash. So people were able to get out beforehand. But, you know, it still sucks because, again, like the sinkholes, your house just gets destroyed. And you got to be like, okay, well, my house is destroyed now. But, yeah, so that's one thing we do. We try
getting out. Probably a telltale sign. If you see that coming up, run away.
Yeah. Another thing we can do is dig trenches so that the lava will be diverted and just go another way. But then you got to decide where you want to send it. And usually that's to the ocean, especially on these small islands, because that's the most available place to just have the rock. I mean, the rock ends up there anyways. Like, that's how the islands formed, from lava going into the water. And actually, there's a lot of underwater volcanoes, too. So, if we
most volcanoes are.
Yeah, most volcanoes are underwater. And it might be where life itself started on Earth, which is crazy to think about at the undersea vents. But that's a topic for another time. So, so the volcanoes, the lava can be redirected somewhat, but there's also a lot of lava that comes out.
Yeah. So just an interesting fact, if I can throw it in.
Yeah.
There is Mount Etna.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know anything about Greek mythology, you know that Mount Etna, it's in Italy, but the Greeks thought that it was a very important mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because it was a volcanic mountain. Mount Etna is a volcanic, and that's where they got the belief of Hephaestus, the Greek god Hephaestus, the god of fire. They believed he sat below Mount Etna, and he forged the weapons of Zeus. And every time he would like strike,
son of a bee, I'm in.
His hammer, it would be like a volcanic eruption.
Have you seen that episode yet?
Of what?
Rick and Morty? Episode 3?
Yes. Yes, I have.
You son of a bee.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Hephaestus. That's funny. Great episode. Elon Tusk. Wonderful. But yeah, so volcanoes.
Mythology.
Yeah, another thing about the lava is that it moves slowly, but there's also ash, which is just a huge cloud of death that you'll suffocate on because it's just filled with dust and toxic chemicals, and that does move quickly. So that can be very dangerous. That's why you need to live far away enough from the volcano that you have a bit of a head start when it comes to evacuating. But also, lava itself, even though it's moving slowly, it can be destructive because if you thought water was dense, which you should because I said it was, right? Well, lava is even denser because it's molten rock. So it has pretty much the density of rock, which can be like 5 tons per cubic meter. So it'll just knock things down, you know?
Lava is on average between 1,300 degrees Fahrenheit and 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 700 degrees to 1,200 degrees Celsius.
That's hot.
So...
That's why it glows red. You know, it's radiating.
Yeah. So if the floor actually was lava,
yeah,
you would not be happy.
You would not be fine. Even if you were on your comfy sofa that your mom told you, don't jump on that, but you did anyways.
Because your sofa would immediately light on fire.
You would not be
engulfing you and your house in a massive flaming ball, which takes us right to our next topic. Wildfires.
Yes.
Wildfires.
So, wildfires are both a natural disaster.
Wildfire, and not the character from the Lego movie.
Oh my gosh.
What was her name? I'm guessing it wasn't Wild.
It was Wild Style.
Wild Style. Sorry, that's not Wildfire.
I'm a hacker. I think. I don't know. Was she a hacker? I forget. Wild Style.
She was some brooding martial artist woman who fell in love with Chris Pratt like any other woman or man.
Actually, now that I think about it, Chris Pratt in every movie he's in, he has a romantic interest in the movie.
Yeah. And I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Chris Pratt doesn't act. He just plays himself in every role.
Really does.
Yeah,
that man has not acted a day in his life. He always just gets the role that is him.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you love your job, then you never work a day in your life. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, that must be fun. Yeah, what a legend. He's got
what a legend.
Great characters. But yeah, so wildfires, not only are they natural disasters, but they can be good for the environment because
they're useful.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Because trees will just keep growing. They're just going to keep growing and growing like hair, right? And you need to get a haircut. Wildfires are nature's haircuts. So, yeah.
When they burn into and help plant nutrients into the ground.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That the soil is more for the future trees.
Yeah, the ash is super rich with all the materials that was previously in the trees. And then it helps new trees grow. So it's it's destruction, but it's also creation and cleansing, much like the phoenix, born again from fire.
Yes.
So,
speaking of phoenix,
there's
a bird that starts wildfires.
Oh yes, the firehawks.
The firehawk.
Yeah, firehawks, what they do is when they see a burning stick, because like things in nature, they just light on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're new to Earth or not. If you are new to Earth, get off this video because you're probably not 13. But
yeah, I was thinking aliens, but you were thinking newborns.
Oh, you
wow.
were okay. We went different directions.
We were going different ways on this. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, and then I'm like, oh, okay.
I was also thinking young people,
but anyways, things just light on fire. That's just what happens, you know. And these birds, what they do, and of course, you can guess where these birds are from. They're from Australia. These birds will see a burning stick, and they'll be like, and they'll go like straight for it, and they'll pick it up, and they'll flap their flaps all the way across to the other end of the forest, and they'll drop the stick, like right there.
And start a fire.
You know why they do that?
For fun.
For pleasure. They do it to get their food, so their prey, like little animals and insects.
That's smart.
So since they're trying to escape, they're more accessible, and then they get to have dinner.
Wow.
That's why they do it.
Max, I think this is the first time a guest has ever done research this show.
Yeah, probably. I don't want to offend. No, I think Zach probably did research.
Yeah, no, Zach did research. Of course, Zach did research.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of the other people.
Okay.
Michael, he researched how to play
Michael
the
did
drums.
Self-research.
Yeah.
Michael looked deep into his own personal values.
Introspection.
to go with that episode.
Yeah. But yeah, wildfires, let's see. So, geological processes. When you don't get a lot of rain for a while, then your forest becomes a box of tinder, like a kindling box, and it can be pretty bad if you live near it. So,
speaking of, you can get a Truly Dead Rock Kindle for only $4 or $3.99.
Yeah, Kindle, but get paperback.
Yes.
Because.
But yes, get paperback.
I get more royalty from paperback.
A book
for the completely reasonable price. Get it.
Okay, that's how much paperbacks cost on average. Like $16. Okay.
Okay, pal.
Also, Also, every English teacher I've ever had has had like a personal vendetta against e-readers. So, maybe they have a point. I don't get it.
Maybe they do.
Because I'm like, I can pick it up anywhere. I can pick it up on my computer or on my phone. They're like, no, it's so hollow and empty inside. And I'm like, geez, okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, get a physical copy. And I'm like, all right, man, I'll do that. So, yeah,
Okay.
So wildfires, yeah. So how do we deal with wildfires and how do we prevent them? Yada, yada, yada. So
firefighter.
Yeah, exactly. Much of the news coverage on the California wildfires, you see those planes that drop. Sometimes they drop water, but most often they're actually dropping specialized chemicals that specifically get rid of fires. Because water is a method of getting rid of fires, but it isn't the most efficient method. It's just that everyone has water next to them, so they can. It's more convenient to put out a fire like that. Not everyone has a canister of good old fire chemical whatever, So they use specialized chemicals to get rid of the water or to get rid of the fire. But also, what you can do is to try and prevent a forest fire. You can actually water areas of a forest more. You can drop water on it when it's getting really dry and when there's been a paucity of rain, using some vocab words, a paucity of rain, which means lack of rain. When there's been a lack of rain, you can drop some water on your forest and that'll prevent it from catching on fire.
And there's, of course, the old adage of fighting fire with fire.
Yeah.
Which stemmed from fighting fires,
with fire.
If a fire breaks out in an area, they will burn a ring around it, basically, because something that's already been burned cannot catch on fire again, usually.
Big
especially with ground and stuff. So it basically creates a ring that the fire cannot escape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you got to be careful of those fire hawks because they'll just fire will almost be out.
Mess with your plan, bro.
They'll just ruin everything,
also,
and you'll be like, "Oh
god." So you can breathe through the smoke if you're close by.
Mm-hmm.
Wear a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you see a wildfire, don't run towards it. That's how you avoid it.
Yeah. You gotta stop, drop, and roll. No, but if you stay close to the ground and move away from it, and that's generally good. But also, there tends to be more advanced warning of wildfires, at least in the California wildfires. They'll say, hey, the fire's kind of getting closer, and the firefighting has not worked well enough, so you should probably GTFO.
Mm-hmm.
And then
they have
people are cool.
Systems for emergency information and instructions for what you should do.
Yeah. So California, as we've all seen lived in until this wildfire attacked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I just wanted to throw that reference in.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a. I was waiting for it to come up.
Yeah. Well, actually, eagle-eyed viewers will notice the way that this is organized is in the order of the elements. We have water, earth, fire, and then coming up we have air.
Yeah. So here's a question. How might we deal with wildfires in the future, right? One tactic I can think of is that global warming can actually cause wildfires or climate change, I guess now, whichever term you prefer to use. It has been associated with an increase in droughts, and droughts can cause wildfires because if an area is not getting enough rain, then all the plant life will be dried out, and then it's more likely to catch fire. So dealing with climate change will deal with wildfires in a sense. It'll decrease them. So that's good. But of course, it's not a very practical solution because as if anyone's actually going to try and solve climate change. Yeah. Oof. Major oof. Yeah. But yeah, wildfires, classic wildfires. Oh, another solution, right, is to have less oxygen in the air. And this is a bit of a joke because in the Jurassic time period, the air was 30% oxygen. And right now it's 20%. So there was 30% oxygen. And that meant that wildfires would start much more often. Things would just constantly catch fire. It was madness. But now that it's 20%, things don't catch fire as much. And if it were a little less, then there would be less wildfires. But, I mean, that's not the most practical thing. I'm not sure it's even a good idea. Because we need oxygen.
Not do that.
Yeah. We need oxygen to live, so generally it would be best not to get rid of oxygen, just to prevent wildfires.
I like it. I'm a fan of it. Some people aren't. I like it. I like it personally.
Yeah. I mean, how about we just get rid of all the oxygen and keep it in canisters, right? That we can breathe.
That we sell to people.
Yeah. And nothing will catch fire.
Exactly.
Thorax vibes.
Yeah. The thorax.
Yeah.
The Lorax. Oh my god. I speak for the trees. The trees say, help, I'm on fire.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some planetary fire.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some solar flares.
Yes. So, solar flares. These are an interesting one. The sun is a roiling, boiling ball of plasma.
Which is what I like to describe myself as every now and then.
Yeah, so it's a roiling, boiling ball of plasma. And every once in a while, when you're boiling some water to, make pasta or to make tea or whichever, cultural food you prefer, right? You'll get those bubbles in the pot and, it'll start bubbling up. And that's what the sun does sometimes. Plasma will bubble up and then it'll shoot off into space. And if it just so happens to be aimed at the Earth, then the Earth's like, I don't know what I'm going to do now.
Yes, that bell sound.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what the Earth does. It's just ding.
Yeah, so all the radiation that's packed into these solar flares, because plasma is made up of charged particles. That's what plasma is.
It is the fourth state of matter.
Yeah, the fourth state of matter.
And you can relate back all the way back to 5th grade, where the teacher stood up there and said,
"There's only
there are 3 states of matter." And then that one smart-ass kid was like, "What about plasma?" Well, that was me. I was that smart-ass kid.
What about?
And I distinctly remember being that smart-ass kid because that same day I got a desk thrown at me. But
for related reasons.
Ideals.
For related reasons.
Not for related reasons.
Okay.
I stole that kid's lunch, but
okay.
I was the pioneer.
Wow.
Of finding the 4th state of matter, or so I thought. I thought I was the only person that knew that there was a 4th state of matter.
Yeah, I think I remember that. I was like, "What about plasma?" when they did that. I think it was in 3rd grade or something. So I remember it was with my 3rd grade teacher. I was like, "How about a plasma?" But anyways,
I honest to God cannot remember if I had a 3rd grade.
If you had a 3rd grade.
I know the kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and then 3rd. There's just a gaping hole in my memory. And then 4th, 5th, I remember it all. But like 3rd grade, there's just like static. It's been redacted. Redacted information who my 3rd teacher was.
The universe has been patched.
Yeah, my mom probably knows. I could ask her.
Okay. Well, so solar flares, let's see. So yeah, the charged particles, the plasma, it gets redirected by the Earth's magnetosphere.
Wow.
Oh.
Is that the... What is that?
Is someone having a fire?
I think Camilla might be experiencing a wildfire.
Wait, Camilla, are you there? Are you... Is your house on fire?
Because that would be great for the stream.
Was someone...
Oh, it's not.
Your house isn't on fire?
I don't understand how loud that was. I just broke my eardrums. Oh my god.
Is your house on fire?
No, I don't know what happened. Everyone's downstairs.
Aw, your house isn't on fire? That would have been so good for the stream. Aww.
I'm not even going to comment this time.
Anyways.
Well, were you like cooking something? Someone was cooking something for too long? Don't you just love when that happens?
We're having a late Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Maybe the alarm, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, well, so yeah,
so how we deal with solar flares
I didn't
today,
even wait. I need to finish. Okay. So the magnetosphere directs it at the Earth's poles, and that's just what usually happens. That's why auroras are known as like the northern lights, because they occur near the poles. But here, there's just enough charged particles that even though it's directed at the pole, it can like flood the whole planet. And this is like an electromagnetic pulse, so it would destroy the modern world as we know it. All electronics would just start going. You know, they would just...
Is that the sound they would make?
Yeah, they would go... That's what would happen.
That... Or less guttural. Or even more guttural.
Well, you see, some would go snap, crackle, pop, right? But some would start... Fuse boxes would go like... You know, they would snap, crackle, pop. Like a Rice Krispie treat. But others would just kind of spaz out. So, yeah. So it would... Yeah,
there's actually a... Yeah, go ahead.
It would damage electronics severely, and basically a major solar flare occurred around 100 years ago, I want to say, maybe a little over 100 years ago, and everyone was fine, you know, generally... because there wasn't a lot of electronics back then. But now, think of it. Every iPhone will be going Samsung, which is not good. Because people actually own iPhones. And every computer database, every warehouse that just contains servers, you know, server rooms, everything will be going nuts. The telephone poles with the fuse boxes, those will be, like, fusing. You know, it won't be good. It would not be good. So just some safety tips for when a solar flare occurs. Get off the planet. Well, no, I think we would get a little bit of warning, right? The planet. Because it's not moving at light speed. It's moving a bit like slower than light speed. So scientists there's actually a whole branch of NASA that's just constantly staring at the sun. And I mean, they must be really blind by now. Exactly. I mean that figuratively. They've got telescopes focused on the sun, and they're just constantly analyzing the data. And if they were to predict a solar flare, they would be like, everyone, there's going to be a solar flare. And then, I don't know, you could move away from fuse boxes. That would be a generally good idea if you get warning of a solar flare. Yeah, well, solar flares do move pretty much at the speed of light. Mm-hmm. But they're basically... You're able to look at the disk of the sun, and you can tell the sun's about to emit a solar flare. Yes, exactly. But it does take that 8 minutes. Yeah. That light takes 500 seconds or a little over 8 minutes to reach Earth. Yeah. So that's how quickly a solar flare would reach us. It would take about 8 minutes. Yeah, so you'd have 8 minutes to... Well, but also think about it. If the solar flares move into us at light speed, we won't see it until it's here.
Yes.
So that's also a problem. So you need to look at they would need to look at the data of the sun, which they're already doing. So there would be a bit of advance warning. So you would be able to get away from electronic devices so that you could be safe. But yeah, so how do we deal with this today? We kind of don't. We've basically been, each year we're rolling a die, like, those big novelty, like 120-sided dice. They're not platonic solids, so they're not like true dice, but they are like regular, even though they don't, like, basically the vertexes don't have the same number of triangles around them, so the vertexes are different, but the faces are the same, and so they are even dice, and you can have like 120 sides, right? And you can, pretty much what we're doing right now is each year we're rolling this dice, and if we get a 1, then just the entire modern world will be set back like 100 years, and we're just hoping that doesn't happen. So that's kind of worrying. It's a disaster that hasn't happened yet in a meaningful way. Of course, it has happened, but not in a way that really damaged much. So we don't really have a lot in place for it yet, which is concerning. But there is some shielding that you can put around electronics. This is what they put around space probes and space stations. Like when we send something into space, we put some lead and casing around it to keep the electronics from getting fried when they leave Earth's magnetic field. But we don't have that on everything on Earth because we have our magnetic field. But, in these situations, the magnetic field isn't enough. So presumably there are some like organizations that do have casing on their electronics. I would say likely U.S. government organizations, any other government organization, they probably have on their most sensitive files, they likely have casing just to prepare, just in case there's a big apocalyptic situation like this. But I mean, of course, they wouldn't tell us because this is the government we're talking about here. They don't tell us things.
I mean, yeah, come on, man.
They don't tell us things unless they have to. So even when they realistically should have to, they still don't have to. Yeah, they don't like to tell us stuff. But they probably have casing there. But, the humble, common person, the stereotypical, just average Joe, right? They probably, I say probably, they do not have casing around their electronics. I do not have solar flare protection on my electronics. So, yeah, so go figure, right? So what we could do in the future is we could start implementing solar flare protection onto our electronics. But the problem with that is that this would be like billions of dollars of infrastructure updates. And, the risk is so small. Of course, it's compounding risk, so the risk gets bigger and bigger. But the risk is just so small that it wouldn't really be justified to a lot of people to, have that much spending. I mean, a lot of people are already fed up with the tax rates and the government spending. So you can't increase that saying there's like a 1 in 200 chance that within the next year a solar flare occurs. They're going to be like, no. That's not important to be worried about right now. But yeah, so yeah, that's that. Also, I think there's a device called a Faraday cage made by Michael Faraday, and who was an inventor, like scientist in the past. And it basically, I'm not sure if I'm getting this right, but I think it prevents electromagnetic radiation from getting in or out, right? Have you heard of a Faraday cage?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it prevents radiation from getting in or out. So if you're, I don't know, a crazy, like, apocalypse worrier type, you know those people, apocalypse preparation people, you can just keep a little miniature Faraday cage on you, right? Keep it holstered. And then when you hear that a solar flare is coming, you can just, slip your phone into the Faraday cage and turn it on. And then, bam, you're the only person in the world with a working phone. So, everything. So that'll be great. Like, the NSA can still track you. So that'll be fun. You'll be the one person they could still track. But, yeah, so if any crazy apocalypse preppers out there, buy up some Faraday cages. Yeah. So, yeah, anything else on solar flares?
Solar flares are definitely scary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you mentioned it already. I think we've talked about it before. There's this great book written. It's called 1 Second After, I believe.
Uh-huh. I don't think
it's either 1 second after or 1 minute after. Let me look at it.
Okay.
I don't know this book.
Yes, 1 second after. It is a fantastic book.
Yeah.
Me and my grandpa originally read it, and he recommended it to me, and I read it. It's great. It details life on Earth after a massive EMP caused by a solar flare.
Uh-huh.
And let me tell you, it's like unironically one of the scariest books I've read.
Wow.
Only because like how quickly everything turns. Like it's called
1 second
after.
Yeah.
Because like immediately everything tied into the internet is gone.
Yeah. When does it take place?
It takes place in modern day.
So when was it written then?
It was written in
like within the last decade or
2009.
Okay. So
yes, within 1 decade.
Yeah. Right on the line there. If
Right
you go back before that, then only the nerds care about the internet going down.
Yeah.
But now everyone's on the internet. Henceforth, us occurring this live stream. Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't a solar flare. It was an unknown electromagnetic pulse attack.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's scary.
Unknown the cause of it, but it could have been a solar flare. But either way, EMPs are like the more we rely on technology, the scarier EMPs get. Like you said, there was that solar flare 100 years ago, but like 100 years ago, the highest advanced technology was like what they were just coming out with, like the steam engine, and actually it would be
steam
1919.
engine wouldn't be affected. Yeah, but like it's like honey. The telegraph line, the telegraphs. Oh my gosh, the telegraph. Like, it was pretty much at this point.
Gwendolyn. Kelly seems to be on the fritz.
Yeah, no. So at this point, I remember I read about this. It was telegraphs were just becoming a thing, so they were just laying down the telegraph lines. They didn't have the full network yet, but there were a few like lines of telegraph, and then this thing hit, and they're like
shortwave radios, arc welders, and the pop-up toaster were invented in the U.S. in 1919.
Oh wait, look up what year this was.
So
look up what year this was.
The toaster.
Because I'm not sure it wasn't. I'm not sure it was exactly 100 years ago. This solar flare that I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Solar flare. Years ago. There was a solar storm of 1859. Is that what you're talking about?
That's probably it. So a bit more than. Well, are there any other options? Or
I'm looking. Big.
Okay.
On solar flares through history. Fill up the time.
What?
Stall.
Oh, okay. So let's see. Solar flares. Yeah, EMPs. That's an interesting one because solar flares are a natural disaster, but EMPs could be weaponized, which would be very
it was
bad.
1859.
Okay, so 1859. So
it
this is a bit
is
further
called
back.
the Carrington Event of 18.
When something's called, okay, you know that something is
Yeah.
Okay, whenever in like a book or something, and they reference a historical event, and the event is named a British last name event, you know some serious stuff went down there. That is like frightening. When it's a British name event, that always gets me. Like the Thompson event, or like, ooh, like, it's like so frightening. Like That's always what it is. Yeah, like some weird horror stuff happens, like in the SCP Foundation, you know, like I bet they have stuff like that. Well, they're a bit more clinical, but you know, that's like the trope, you know, the British last name and then event, and they're like, oh no.
Anytime Gordon Ramsay walks into a kitchen, it's the
Ramsay event. Ooh, the Ramsay event. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but solar flares.
Multiple.
Yeah, the Ramsay event of when he shoved a plate through a chef's head because they served him beans on toast.
Beans on toast.
It's sandwiches.
Beans on toast is an actual British cuisine. Look it up. British cuisine is equal to the stuff you get at gas stations in the middle of Kansas.
Yeah.
If you were wondering.
But yeah, so
it's disgusting what they do to beef. That's all I'm saying. You can look it up. British cuisine is a natural, but that's not what we're talking about today.
But yeah,
actually, I would call it a very unnatural disaster.
Yeah, but yeah,
the Carrington event. Let me read the description real quick. The Carrington event of 1859, as well as being the first solar. The Carrington event is the largest solar event on record. When solar flares reach the Earth, they create geomagnetic storms discharge Earth's magnetic field, and in 1859, a geomagnetic storm caused by the solar flare. There should be a comma there. Carrington saw. This created auroras all over the globe and as close to the equator as the Caribbean.
That's
along
crazy.
The still burgeoning telegraph system in Europe and the United States. Widespread disruption was reported, and some equipment was destroyed as it caught fire due to overload.
Yep,
that's kind of crazy.
So yeah, burgeoning. You know, it wasn't really in full swing yet, so that's good.
Yeah,
because if you think about telegraphs, like super outdated tech, but even if that had been fully set up, could you imagine, like, if this had happened in a time where people were used to sending and receiving telegraphs, that would be, I mean, it wouldn't cause complete riot and chaos, you know, because people would be like, okay, I guess I'm just going to send a letter now. But it would be quite disruptive to just daily life. Like, people would be like, what's going on? Why am I not getting my telegraph? Stop. Why am I not getting my messages? Stop. I need to send a letter, and it'll take a week. Stop. Because they said stop after every sentence instead of period. You know, in a telegraph.
It's funny.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so
you
weaponized.
Just feel like Alexander Graham Bell sits there for like a week being like, ahoy, ahoy?
Ahoy.
Ahoy, ahoy?
Ahoy?
He's just,
those are question.
Ahoy, ahoy?
Why would you?
I don't know. Well, I also said some sentences. It's fine. I also said some sentences. But yeah, so weaponized EMPs are a thing that are becoming more possible today, and it's pretty frightening because enemy states could use this. And it's not as bad as a nuke, but you know, when a nuke is your comparison, not as bad is still pretty bad. It would cause
essay I turned in was not as bad as a nuclear attack.
Exactly.
But it was not that good.
Yeah. How was your day?
However,
how was your day today?
The look on my teacher's face said otherwise.
Yeah. How was your day today? It was not as bad as a nuclear attack. Oh, that's great to hear. But yeah, so it's pretty, because if you can imagine, I mean, I kind of want to read that book, the 1 Second After book, because I imagine.
Oh yeah, you definitely should. I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, a lot of civil unrest would occur. There would be rioting. People would be like, oh, my phone, my dating app's shut down. I'm going to have to actually talk to people. Ah! You know,
I'd like to take a second to address chat real quick.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's a joke. There's absolutely nothing in chat.
I was about to say, there's no chat. This isn't on private anymore. I don't know what the problem is.
It's probably because I didn't tell Michael that we're.
Oh, okay.
I'll text them. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, anyways, so
we need to have at least one message.
Yeah, we need one message in the chat. Otherwise, it's sad. But does anyone else have any more What?
Time.
Does anyone have any more comments on solar flares?
No.
Cool.
I am all solar flared out.
All right, I'm gonna move to the next slide. Droughts.
The next slide.
And we've got the quantum mechanic back at it again. This time, and he's only like a few hundred feet away from water. Wait, how? This is kind of a bad picture now. I mean, the land does look nice and cracked
I've never noticed that.
But there's literally, well, no. Look how dried up that is. That was probably a massive river, and now it's really dried up. But realistically, this guy's being over dramatic. But it is still a major
we all know
drought.
the quantum mechanic to be quite a dramatic guy.
He's
been in so many situations.
He's a thespian, you know. He's histrionic. He's other words pertaining to theater, you know.
Yes.
He's quite a character. So droughts. Droughts have been occurring more commonly, as I mentioned before, because of climate change. This causes there to be less precipitation, and yeah, that's what a drought is, when it doesn't rain. And when it doesn't rain...
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Fun fact, it takes as few as 15 days without like water to be officially determined as a drought. So you can't be like, I'm so thirsty, I'm in a drought. No, you would have to wait 15 days without water to be in a drought.
Yeah, sorry, buckaroo. It's only been 14 days and 23 hours. It is not a drought yet.
Not a drought.
Yeah, so, but yeah, in this picture, that river was probably a massive river or a reservoir or something, and it's dried up, just majorly dried up. And that's what droughts can do. They deplete water. Let's see. So, processes that cause a drought. It's really just weather patterns. When the weather patterns stop bringing you rain, like the jet stream, when the winds change, you know, that can cause a drought because of the lack of precipitation. California's like constantly in drought. I gotta say, California is facing the brunt of like half of these.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that in the California can literally experience every single one of these at the same time.
Yeah.
Jeez.
California.
And probably has in the future or in the past.
It has in the future.
It has in the future. I've been there. I went back to the future a couple of times.
Yeah, you know, I've seen 3 droughts in my life. One was -5 days ago, another was -3 years ago, and the last one was -2 decades ago.
Thanks, Max.
Yeah, no
This
problem.
is why you're not invited to
So true. Yeah, so let's see. So how do we deal with droughts, right? There's a few things we do. In California, they have reservoirs. So what they do is they just pool water into just big areas, just big vats of water for a city, so that if a drought occurs and the rivers dry up, you'll still be fine for a little bit. You know, you'll have that emergency supply to crack into. Like if in case of emergency, break glass. That's what you've got there with a reservoir. There's also possibilities with desalination, which is the process of just taking ocean water and making it viable to drink. Because, you know, in every shipwreck tale, it's always the ironic frustration with, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded by water, but I am literally like dying of thirst, you know? And that's because salt water will make you more thirsty if you drink it. So if you are a wayward sailor and you are shipwrecked and you are somehow watching this live stream but don't have access to non-salty water, do not drink the ocean water. Alternatively, in a more
I would like
realistic...
to take a second to address chat.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Wakanda.
We have chat now?
Wakanda.
I think
I
that's
love
the
how
perfect
this happens to be on the drought slot. Because, yes, Africa is facing droughts nearly every day.
That is true. Yeah, so let's see. So yeah, desalination, right? It takes a lot of energy to remove the salt and other, grossness from seawater. Have you ever been in the ocean? Ugh, right? Like something swims past your leg.
I've been in the ocean.
Yeah, something swims past your leg, and you're like, "What was that? What?"
Yeah.
Like you got to get rid of all that stuff, and that takes a lot of energy. It really does, and most of our energy comes from fossil fuels at this point, so it would be a little counterproductive to like desalinate a ton of water because then that would just worsen the drought problem. But assuming we get cleaner energy and like cheaper, more accessible energy, then desalination could become viable. But at this point, it's just too expensive energy-wise, and it's better to do other things, like to pipe it in from neighboring places or any other possibility. But, desalination, it just harkens back to the classic fable and quandary of mankind of, like, why can't we drink the seawater? Everyone's asked that at some point.
Yeah.
It's salty.
Yeah. So, let's see. How might we deal with this in the future? Again, like the wildfires, if we address climate change, then that addresses droughts to a certain degree.
Yes.
But, yeah. So that's one thing. But specifically to droughts, I'm trying to think. Well, one thing that occurs is that, say, a rainforest, right? The trees of a rainforest actually attract rain because of, like, the transpiration of the trees. Like, trees sweat, apparently, which is a thing I only learned in, like, middle school, and I was like, as part of the water cycle, and I'm like, no, that cannot be. Trees cannot just sweat, but they do, and it's weird. So rainforests attract rain, right? Trees attract rain. So if you were to take an area that was prone to droughts, and during one of the times that it was not in drought, you planted a few trees, then once those trees grew, they could help to prevent a drought from occurring. And yeah, do you guys have anything on this?
Droughts.
Yeah.
Not good.
Mm-hmm.
I like water. I like drinking water.
You do?
Water is good for me.
Thank you, Sebastian. Very cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you. And this is my 3rd grade project. I actually have no knowledge of grade at all, so I figured I might as well.
Do you have any memories from 3rd grade? Come on, we gotta think of something.
Fam, I don't have any memories from like a week ago. This stuff gets cleared out. I clear my history.
Empty desktop.
On my brain.
Okay, well, I remember things from like
the Lovecraftian horrors have made me just delete my memory.
Okay, well, you
it's either
can't
that
think
or
of,
I succumb to an unintangible fate.
You can't think of one thing. Like, I can think of, even if I don't remember a ton of things from like early elementary school, I at least remember a few notable things. Like, I remember 4th grade when we all had that lunch table, and that was fun.
I remember that lunch table.
You don't remember the lunch table? I mean,
remember Nerdia?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said I remember it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Okay, good.
Good.
I made it.
Yeah.
Well, I helped make it. I was the founding father of Nerd. Anyway, this has nothing to do with the stream, dear viewer.
It's important to your mental sanity, okay? Just give us one...
This live stream comes before my mental sanity, Max.
Do you just have one memory from 3rd grade, okay? Otherwise, you'll never be able to be sure that this is real. Think about it. If you can't think of a memory from 3rd grade, then maybe you're just in a simulation.
Okay.
So you got to give us one memory.
Oh, okay. Wait. Was that? No, that was my 2nd grade teacher.
Oh gosh.
Teacher. Now I'm thinking.
All right.
God, what year were we in third grade? What year was that?
That was 2012, 2013.
2012. I would feel like I would remember 2012.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I remember walking. Actually, that jogged a memory. I remember December 21st walking into class, and then everyone being like, haha, the world was supposed to end today. And I'm like, why did I not hear of this?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
yeah, you
okay,
do?
There we go.
Bam.
That's a memory.
Okay, we're good.
That's a memory.
We're good. Existential crisis averted, right? Okay, so anything else on droughts?
The Lovecraftian horrors I've seen have not broken my mind thus far.
Nice. Anything else on droughts?
Why is there a
What were you saying?
I don't know. It
no. I was asking Camilla what she was saying.
Sorry.
Well, I was asking why there was a yet in that sentence. Like,
yet?
Oh,
yeah. The Lovecraftian horrors I've seen etch away at my mental stability every day, Camilla.
Okay.
The images of them are burned into my very corneas.
Oh my gosh. You see, I'm only half sure he's being sarcastic.
You don't know him.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so next slide.
Shaq is there.
I'm gonna go to the next slide.
Shaq is lurking.
I'm gonna go to the next slide. Hurricanes.
Nothing rhymes with lurking.
Hurricanes.
No, so. Shaq is there. Shaq is lurking. He lies in wait, ever lurking.
What?
There we go.
Okay, hurricanes. So, hurricanes.
Oh yeah, hurricanes
are. Look how big that hurricane is. First of all, on that picture, these are very destructive because of how expansive they are. Like that stretches like 1,000 miles. I have to say. So, just think of what a wide area that covers.
There's three.
Sorry,
There's three pieces of a hurricane. There's the eye in the middle, which is nothing. It's just calm.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the calm of the storm.
Yeah.
And then there's a ring around
the eye of the storm?
So there's a ring around it, okay.
Yeah.
There's a ring around it called the eye wall, which is not the eyeball, the eye wall. And it's the most severe storms and winds are in that ring. And then there's the rain bands, which are spirally bands of heavy rain that are scattered around the hurricane.
I've always wanted to be at the eye of a hurricane and just kind of stick my hand into the...
What does a hurricane taste like?
Yeah. No. But I've always wanted... And just stick my hand into the eye wall and
does
just
it come in any other
feel like crazy winds, but be standing right next to the crazy winds, just being like, haha, I'm good. So, let's see. So, hurricanes. What cause hurricanes? For the American East Coast and the Caribbean... Hurricanes form off the west coast of...
Okay. Can I say something real quick?
Mm-hmm.
So I was just fantasizing about eating a hurricane, or at least tasting one.
Okay.
And then I was thinking about if hurricanes came in any other flavors. And then I searched up, or then I wondered, what does lava taste like? And so I started typing it in Google, and then it immediately auto-filled it, meaning I've Googled that before.
Don't drink the forbidden honey.
So I Googled it once, most likely in like a drunken stupor. And I didn't remember the answer. But if you guys are wondering, freshly cooled lava can have smell and taste treats and organics that it burned up. But Hawaiian lava that is most often cooled in the ocean might taste salty.
I mean...
The new saltine crackers. You'll still chip a tooth on them.
This is crucial.
But anyways, so, yeah, hurricanes, they form off of the west coast of Africa. It's the Sahara Desert. The winds, the trade winds, you know, the, what do you call it? The Coriolis force that causes the wind cells across the earth. This wind pattern creates hurricanes off the coast. Furthermore, the Coriolis force, as the hurricane is a low-pressure system, it sucks in air, but that air gets diverted by the Coriolis force, which is just an effect of living on a sphere. So that diversion causes it to move in a circular pattern, and that's why we get hurricanes. And that's why hurricanes rotate the other way in Australia, in the southern hemisphere. So yeah.
And the rotations speed up, and they speed up more and more, and then you get really high winds and rain and a hurricane.
Yeah, and then it moves towards the Caribbean, American East Coast, stuff like that. And
destroys everything.
Yeah. And so, let's see what else. So, yeah, hurricanes, to technically be a hurricane, it has to have 74 miles per hour wind or more, which, that's I don't know what the name of the scale is, but I know it's just the categories, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then at the bottom, you've got tropical storm, you've got the rejects of the Hurricane Academy, tropical storms, and Cat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is 5? I think it's got to be above like 160 something or 180 something. It's basically, it doesn't even have a defined range. It's just blah, blah, blah plus. So yeah, they can get pretty drastic. And so the problem with hurricanes, it's both the wind, but also the wind blows on water, which causes storm surge in coastal areas, which is where the water level just rises. And that can be pretty bad because it's like a tsunami, except it's sustained. So it doesn't just come in and then go back out. It's just creeping in. It's slowly flooding your place, right? But there's also crazy winds outside. So it's just not a good situation. And yeah, so the way that we deal with hurricanes today is we just kind of leave. We evacuate. That's...
Well, we don't. We're supposed to.
Well, we're supposed to, yeah. You get a lot of advanced warning when a hurricane is coming. And so the state or the nation will issue a state of emergency, and on the county level, I believe, they'll initiate evacuation mandates where they say, evacuate. But, of course, there's always, your crazy people that are like, no, I've got it sorted. I will shoot the hurricane, and it'll go away. And then another guy's like, I'll point 50 electric fans in the direction of the hurricane, and it'll go away.
If you were wondering how much energy is in a hurricane, if we crunch the numbers for an average hurricane, so we take the amount of rain per day and then the circle radius, we get a gigantic amount of energy, which rounds out to 6 times 10 to the power of 14 watts, or 5.2 times 10 to the power of 19 joules per day. So that is 200 times the total electric generating capacity on the planet.
Dang. Imagine if we could just harness that.
So yeah, if we could harness a hurricane, we could possibly charge my TI-84 calculator to full.
Yeah. The
possibly
TI-84 calculator. Anyways, so another way we deal with hurricanes is, as I mentioned, for tsunamis, there are seawalls, levees. In Hurricane Katrina, they failed just because of how bad that hurricane was, but they can be effective. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been built in the first place. But yeah, it's definitely the best thing to do in a hurricane is to evacuate if you're told to evacuate, just because it's not good to ride it out, hunker down. It's best to just get out of there, just be safe, But yeah. So let's see. How might So how might we deal with these in the future? So if we, again, hurricanes.
Tactical nuke.
Well, I'll get to that, but again, hurricanes are said to get more severe with climate change. So, solve climate change, or decrease hurricanes. You know what I mean? But that's just kind of a generic solution. So, yes, tactical nuke. There was some controversy recently. I'd say a month or two ago. It was during Hurricane Dorian. Donald Trump, I don't know in what context he said it. Maybe it was offhandedly, jokingly, or maybe it was. I doubt it was serious, but you know how he just says these things. So
we never really go with him.
Yeah, so he says we can nuke Hurricane Dorian, right? And people were like, "Bro, what are you on right now?" But that was actually a serious scientific study where these meteorologists, like a while ago, they investigated, I think in the 50s, they investigated, because this is when nukes were first developed. They said, what would happen if we were to have a nuclear bomb detonate at the center of a hurricane, and would it be effective at dissipating the hurricane? And they found yes, it would be. So the basic premise is that the shockwave from the nuclear blast would dismantle the low pressure system, because the point of the low pressure system in the hurricane is that it's attracting air from around it. It's pulling in air, drawing it into this tight circle so that it starts spinning and blowing at a high speed. But if you have a nuclear blast, then that blows away all the air. And, then no more hurricanes.
So it works. But
the scientists who were doing that study also concluded, yeah, although it would work, it would not be worth the nuclear fallout and radiation that you would get as a result. Basically, you'd be replacing one natural disaster with a man-made disaster. So,
Let's avoid the radiation.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, so it's not the best.
Bad plan.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. So that was a controversy because our president loves saying controversial things. Mm-hmm. So they were like, yeah, what are you talking about?
I love tweeting controversial things.
That's true. But yeah, so this is a solution, but not a very good one. So what else could we do? Well, it's always, better building techniques could work too.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Hurricanes spin. What way do they spin? They spin clockwise or counterclockwise?
Counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, clockwise in the southern hemisphere.
All right. Here's what we do.
Yeah.
In the northern hemisphere, let's say that we get a big old hurricane. Let's name this hurricane. What's this hurricane's name going to be?
Sheila.
What is it?
Sheila.
Hurricane Sheila.
Uh-huh.
Hurricane Sheila is... Now, we could do the humane thing and let it take out Florida. Or, what we could do is we make a reverse hurricane. A hurricane of the exact same size and magnitude of everything, except it spins in the other direction. And then we collide the two,
oh my God.
and they dissipate.
I think...
Because that's how math works.
The problem is that you've got a 50% chance of that actually working and a 50% chance of creating, like, a worse thing, but...
I like those odds.
I like those... No.
Also...
well, another...
I got crap for 20 minutes about my accidental noise that I didn't mean to make.
Okay.
And then you say things like the
Okay, but
thing.
I'm the host of this show, and you are just a lowly guest. I am above you.
Okay.
You are above me, but that's because you're smaller than me.
Yes.
Well, we didn't necessarily say with people in it. It could have evacuated.
Exactly.
Well, no. Okay, so here's an interesting idea, right? Assuming we get more orbital infrastructure and just space stuff, right? We could put tactical shades in orbit so that we can put a shade up around that area of the Atlantic Ocean that hurricanes form because hurricanes need warm water to form. So if we were to put up a shade that blocked out sunlight, or not all of the sunlight, obviously, but a large portion of the sunlight, then the hurricanes would not be able to form there. So, that would be interesting, don't you think?
Yeah.
Any other possible solutions?
I'm sure you've all seen the post, but I just want to shout it out. The fact that we name hurricanes like regular people's names, we need to name them like scary names so that people are scared of them.
It started off as kind of sexist meteorologists naming them after their wives.
That's kind of dope. He's like, honey, look, you're destroying Cincinnati.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how it started. And then people, after the 1950s, people started to be like, hey, wait, maybe we shouldn't act like this. So then they added men's names to the list too, so that they can be equally as destructive.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that we can have our names on natural disasters.
Yay. I want to go to the U.S. Census site and look up the commonality of the name Katrina over time. The baby named Katrina. Because I'm pretty sure that there's a sharp decline after...
Yeah, there'd be a pretty sharp drop.
After 2005. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but we need to start naming these things like Hurricane Darth Vader. Or Hurricane Taxes. Or Hurricane Discord call at 2 a.m. Or like...
Hurricane calling Mickey Mouse at 3 a.m.
Yeah, Hurricane Camilla's fire alarm.
Sorry, I didn't know that was going to happen.
It's okay. We're glad your house didn't burn down.
Yeah. It would have been good for the stream.
No. No. Okay. So anything else to say on hurricanes?
I mean, people's names are pretty scary too, because people can be pretty scary, so...
I'm not afraid of Hurricane George. Anyways, on the tornadoes.
Yes, okay. Okay, here we
Tornadoes.
Yeah, here, you can do this one. I'm searching up the commonality of the name Katrina over time.
Sure. Okay, so tornadoes, you've seen them, you love them, they're great. Tornadoes are incredible spinnies, and hurricanes are like, you can think of them as hurricanes being like big spinnies. Like, you can think of those as like Beyblades. But tornadoes are more like spinning tops, like the top from Inception.
Ah, yes. I love that top.
The actual definition for a tornado, rather than a little spinny, is a mobile, destructive vortex of violently rotating winds having the appearance of a funnel-shaped cloud and advancing beneath a large storm system.
That was a frightening definition.
Storm clouds. Sorry, what were you saying?
That was a frightening definition. Also, I found Katrina, and yes, it totally drops off at the time you would think it drops off, right? So 2004, its rank in popular female names is number 281. 2005 is number 246. But then 2006, it drops to 379. The next year, it drops to 594, 713, 814, 858, and 942 in 2012. So, yeah. It
commonality
totally
of the name Adolf.
Oh
my gosh.
No. Yeah, I think you'll probably see a similar trend there. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, so tornadoes. Let's see. So
yep, pretty big drop.
Pretty big drop? Okay. So
oh my god, it lists like everyone who's ever had the name.
Wow. So let's see. So tornadoes, right?
Yeah.
They are caused when thunderstorms get, a little too excited. I think that's a good definition. You start with a thunderstorm, right? and everything's fine. You know, your dog's freaking out a bit, but who cares, right? Dog's freaking out. It's kind of nice, actually. A thunderstorm can be relaxing if you're inside and you've got the TV going and you just hear the nice rumble and the pitter patter, right? But then things
you should be an author, dude.
Oh, I should.
You're pretty good at this.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you could. I think you could write a book.
Yeah. Okay. so then things get a little worse. They turn into a supercell. So now your dog is, I don't know, having a complete panic attack, complete mental breakdown on the floor, and the rumbles are getting pretty loud. The trees are swaying. You hear like cracks as the trees fall, and you're like, okay, this is kind of scary now. It's not so nice anymore. And then the supercell turns into a tornado, and then your dog jumps out the window, flies off, and you run to the basement if you have a basement, because if you're in a tornado-prone area, you probably do have a basement or a cellar or something.
Then you're not in anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, you run to your basement or cellar, and you're like, oh, geez, this is not good. And that's the progression from thunderstorm to tornado.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tornadoes don't get...
Tornadoes? Yeah, go ahead.
They don't get a lot of advanced warning because they're pretty unpredictable. There can be many funnels touching down. You can have multiple touchdown sites with a tornado based on just one supercell. And so if there's like a thunderstorm coming in, you don't know if that thunderstorm is going to turn into a tornado. Even if that thunderstorm is a supercell, there's only, I think, 15-20% chance that it actually has a tornado. So you just have to watch the Weather Channel, and you got to look at, okay, tornado warning, severe storm warning, and you got to be like, oh, please don't be a tornado. And you just got to be prepared for it. So, yeah. So that's how tornadoes go.
So the worst tornado in history occurred in Bangladesh, which is a country in South Asia, my geographic challenge friends. And it occurred on April 26th. A lot of these things happened in April. April 26th, 1989. It was devastating, and it killed approximately 1,300 people. Jeez.
Wow.
Yes.
So, yeah, tornadoes are no joke. Definitely not as deadly as hurricane.
Yeah.
But equally as scary.
Yeah. They're more concentrated.
Yes.
But yeah, so how we deal with tornadoes, it's really just if you live in an area that has tornadoes, then you're likely already good because you have a tornado shelter or a basement or a storm cellar, blah, blah, blah. There's probably like a dozen names based on regional preferences, but you know what I mean. An underground area of your house, okay? Might be separate from your house, might be within your house, but if there's a tornado, if you get some tornado warnings, it might be good to just head there in advance, you know. If you're at home for the night and you see tornado watch, tornado warning, it might be a good idea just to head down there, you know, watch some TV. It can still be relaxing, you know, but even if there's not a tornado, it's good to just, you know, stay ahead, you know. But let's see. Other than that, all you can really do is build strong structures. You can't really have a foolproof way to just prevent tornadoes. And what might we do in the future? I think we're already kind of good when it comes to the future. You just got to build things stronger. And yeah, I think that's generally how it goes.
Yeah.
Any other tornado ideas?
Nope.
Be careful.
Yeah, tornadoes. If you hear this, if a tornado is watching this live stream, I would say stop your violent behavior. It's harming the citizens of this great nation and around the world. And your evil shall not be allowed to continue. Or else I will rain down fire and...
Oh, so do you want to read the chat? We've got quite a bit of chat.
Oh, wow!
Yay. Okay, so let's see. We're pretty much at the end, so let's read the chat. So we've got Yui Films.
Okay.
I've got my eye on you in reference to hurricanes. Ha 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 ha.
Yep.
So, also, do you guys know who Sue is?
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't
Yeah.
say it. It's a trap.
I know who
It's a
Sue
trap.
is. I know who Sue is.
Okay. You know who Sue is. Okay.
Sebastian, I'm here with Johan. Joe.
How will he
Oh,
feel?
okay.
Yeah, that was supposed to be how. How will he feel
How-
that you
I thought it was another joke in the same vein as that last one. So how will
No.
he feel
No,
about
I'm-
you fantasizing about
I was
eating a
thinking that
hurricane?
too.
Oh, how? Okay, I see. You're Spessa. Thank you, Michael. Special.
Yeah.
Michael,
Hurricanes, more
not
like
able
sugar
to
cane,
spell or
am I
pronounce
right?
words. Hurricanes, more like sugar cane. Am I right? Oh, I know what you're talking about. Gotta live that craft life, right? If you mess with the cat, you get the gat. Thank you, Dr. Seuss. Boo. Let's see. Let's see what else. We've got a ton of just emoji marks.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, can you not process emojis,
What do you mean?
or can you see them?
I can see them. I don't
You
know
can
how to
see them.
say them.
Some computers can't
Oh, okay, I see.
process the emojis. I was just wondering.
I thought you were asking like
But-
me mentally. Like, can I?
Oh,
Yeah.
Can you
I
process?
understand emojis. I understand the concept.
And
then
then we
we've
got
got-
a couple unfunny.
Okay, Boomer
Afterwards.
repeated 6 times.
There's 5 of
Yep.
them.
Well, then we've got blow them away. Okay, Boomer again. Valid idea. Bombs are cool. Yeah. They can be cool. I mean, I think that's why we
Probably
watched
work.
Mythbusters. If Mythbusters didn't have bombs, would anyone watch them?
Oh,
Then
I would.
you would?
I like when
Okay.
they lit the pig on fire.
I don't remember that one.
Sorry, what?
That started my
I don't
long
remember that.
history of lighting other pigs on fire.
Animal control is on their way. Or
Yeah, that coincides with Yui Films' last comment.
yeah, wait.
which
So we've
is-
got
which
who
a
is
quote
Joe,
of mine.
which I know who Joe is. Then we have do they spin the other way in Africa? I mean Australia. And let's give them a reason to call the police. Okay.
Yes, that is a quote from me. That's actually one of my more better known quotes.
Uh-huh.
Let's give them a reason to call the police.
Oh, from that video, the cops
Yeah.
called video.
The cops called.
Ah, that was a fun video.
That was
Go
a
check
fun
out
video. I
Yui's
liked
channel.
facing the police.
Yeah,
And
I had
now the
so
police
much
know
anxiety
that I
there.
light pigs on fire.
I hid in the basement.
Didn't
It
even
was
do
fun.
anything wrong, and I was like shaking. I
Yeah,
was not. I was not good.
that was a fun scenario, wasn't it? Anyways, so
I was laughing. I was having.
yeah,
I laughed
It was great.
afterwards, but
yeah,
in
Well-
the moment, I was like shaking bad.
yeah. We were playing.
Why are you scared of the
Manhunt.
cops, bro?
I wasn't scared of the cops.
Why are you scared
I
of
was
the
scared
ops, bro? Why are you scared of the ops?
If you haven't done
No, we
anything
didn't do
wrong,
it.
then you
No,
shouldn't be
we
scared.
didn't And I was like,
Why are you scared of the
ah.
fuzz,
You know?
the po-po?
Basically,
12.
oh my gosh, that was so crazy. We were playing Manhunt, and then there was a noise complaint, and someone was like, "People are fighting in the streets."
But
And
why
we're
did
like-
why did they send 4 cops
I know.
for
I think
a
they were.
noise complaint?
I know. I think they're expecting to like break up a brawl or something. Like, it was
Yeah,
something.
something like that.
And then we had to bring the
Don't need
party
to rehab.
inside.
Watch
That was
that
fun.
video on that.
But anyways, so
Best
those are
birthday
all,
party
all our
ever.
thoughts on tornadoes.
Yes.
Let's move over.
Final
to
thoughts.
So,
Final.
Yes,
thoughts. What do you-
this is where I was going to say California can experience literally all of the things we've listed at the same exact time.
Uh-huh.
California is the true avatar, master of
Of all
water, earth,
Yeah.
fire, and air.
Yeah.
Only indestructive ones.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
They can have a tsunami, an earthquake, a volcanic eruption, a wild a solar drought, a hurricane, and a tornado,
Yeah.
all at the same time.
So
and-
sad.
Wow.
They will still continue to truck on. So
Yeah, they'll still
even for
continue
everything-
to.
all the smoke that California gets. I mean, you gotta hand it to them. Those guys gotta hand.
Imagine having to live in California, though. Like, I said, imagine having to live in California right now.
Yeah, that'd pretty much be living in Mad Men.
Like you've got natural disasters.
Maya!
You've got droughts, earthquakes.
The sound you just heard bloating on me.
Uh-huh. So yeah, you've got droughts.
I just picked up and held a random pen. Fell. I feel like I'm reverse Magneto or something.
The pen exploded on you.
I was just holding it, and it literally just in my grasp.
Wow. So
it's now a fraction of what it was.
But yeah, California.
Has a lot of, natural disasters, so natural disasters happen to us.
Yeah.
Wow. That's not good.
Yeah, Max, you're the only.
I'm the only what? I'm the only one that hasn't been hit with a natural disaster yet?
Yeah, like my pen broke, Camilla's house lit on fire. Like, what's next?
Oh my gosh. I'll probably, I don't know. Let's see, what might happen. I'm looking at my surroundings, and I think the most devastating possibility would be me falling over and being forced to read Trump: The Art of the Deal in its entirety. That would probably be the worst thing that could happen to me in this room that I'm in right now. So, yeah, final thoughts on natural disasters. What? Sorry, you cut out.
I would read that. Who would come into your house just to tell you to read the book?
I don't know. It's
Donald Trump himself.
Yeah.
Have you ever met the man?
He might say, "Read my book."
He'd be like, "Hey, Max, you should read the book.
Oh my gosh.
It's better than your book.
Oh.
I think it's the best book ever written."
If he said that to me, I would be like, you know what? I'm going to read the other 2 Obama books that are here. And he'll be like,
no, don't read those Obama books. Obama is the worst author in history.
Oh my gosh. What a guy.
He's terrible.
My book
is great. It's huge.
Remember that video clip when it was like one of the talk shows where they do the Twitter thing, like the Twitter hate comments, and Barack Obama was reading, like, Trump said, like, Barack Obama will go down as one of the worst presidents in history. And then Obama was like, at least I'll go down as a president. And then here we are. Isn't that fun? Yeah. So, what else? But yeah, so natural disasters, very bad.
Yeah.
We've got prevention techniques. We've got safety techniques. So just stay safe. That's the key thing here.
Yeah, stay safe.
We're not natural disasters experts either. So if your area is prone to a certain natural disaster type, it might do you well to read up on it. Read that book 1 second later or whatever, and because that sounds pretty good. And if you're in California, then honestly, you should probably just build a all-purpose apocalypse shelter. I think that's the most reasonable response to living in California. And anything else?
Make sure you pay attention to the emergency information that people send out.
Yeah.
Because it's useful, and it may save you.
Yeah. You might get one of those flashbacks like in a TV show when a character...
natural disasters are terrifying.
Yeah.
And they're scary. They're a scary part of Earth. But, and I wanted to mention this. I wanted to mention this over on the hurricane. Over on the hurricane slide. But the worst hurricane that we know of is actually on Jupiter. And it's called the Great Red Spot.
Yep.
And it is a massive storm that has been raging for how long?
I think since at least Galileo. Like, when Galileo...
At least around 1665.
And you see, the issue with that is that Galileo's observation of the Great Red Spot was the first time we had telescopes good enough to see the Great Red Spot. So it's been existing since we've been able to see Jupiter well enough to see it, which is kind of crazy, which means it could have existed for, like, millennia, you know?
Yeah, so be thankful that we don't have a storm that's been raging for around 400 years.
Yeah.
Or at least 400 years.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Be glad. that we live on a planet where sometimes we do have water.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have too much water.
Mm.
Sometimes we don't have enough water.
Mm.
Sometimes we have fire.
Mm.
Sometimes we have too much fire.
Mm.
Sometimes the sun gives us fire, but we don't like it because it makes our technology stop working.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have ground. Other times
we don't have enough ground. Oh my gosh.
Sometimes the ground stays still. Sometimes it quakes. All of these things can happen, but usually they don't. Or usually they happen in the where nothing lives except for fish, and we all know that fish don't have feeling.
Yeah.
So I would like to say thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for watching.
This has been an excellent stream. I would like to thank our guest, Camilla, for coming out here.
Yep, thank you for coming on the stream.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no
This has been a great stream. I love it. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Fun stream.
And I would like to thank all our viewers, and thank you, Michael and Yui Films, for blowing up the chat at the end. That was great.
Yep.
And if you're watching this in the future, have a good morning, afternoon, night, whenever you're watching it. And thank you.
Yeah. And I'd like
we hope you enjoyed.
And I'd like to thank my co-host Sebastian for being here as always. And
of course.
I'm going to end the stream now. So thank you and good night.